Hello, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Escaping Success podcast. I'm the solo host today, Tom Leffler, and I'm going to discuss. I actually just went on a trip. I went on a trip with Date with Destiny with Tony Robbins. It was an in-person trip for 6 days, 5 nights, 6 days, and it was intense. It was. I honestly didn't know much going into it in the sense of like the structure of the event, which for me, I'm a very routine, structured, oriented person. And I think they purposely don't tell you the structure, how late it goes, the food schedule, all that stuff, because most people there, I assume, are hard charging, very doers in a sense that go to these type of events. So I think it was by design. I understand why Tony set up the event the way it is. So basically, each day went from really start anywhere from like 11 a.m. to about 2 or 3 a.m. every night. And now I could have spent the whole night or the whole day there like nonstop. There's always something going on in like the convention center. Is a room filled with 6,000 people, amazing people. And they had Tony Robbins himself was on most of the time. I'd say 70% of the event Tony Robbins was on. Was actually surprising me. He's a 65-year-old man, and he's been doing this now for 40 years, and he's a real deal. That's all I gotta say. He's a real deal. And it was really cool to be in the presence of that man. So for me personally, this story of Tony Robbins, he really started my self-help kind of evolution, I gotta say. So it was a surreal moment for me, is that now 29-year-old, to look back, almost 8-9 years ago when I first really kind of found out about Tony Robbins. I used to watch YouTube videos in college. And also, he helped me when I was in a dark path. I was depressed or suicidal, or just trying to figure out, like, what is this thing called life? And he kind of gives you tools, pattern recognition, all this stuff to help break out of, if you're in a negative thought pattern or depressed thought pattern, or just to have habits and patterns you don't like, why don't I work out, or why do I not eat these foods? And he, through different methods and tools, he kind of empowered me and other people for millions, probably almost so many people over the years. And my biggest takeaway from that event is, again, I'm a religious person. I wasn't always this religious. I grew up Roman Catholic, and I kind of lost my faith through, heart surgery, and then like breaking my neck, and bacteria infection. My faith was tested, and I'm not happy to say that during some of those moments, not that I never thought there was something more. I guess I always had faith that there was, for me personally, that there is another level after this, that, this life here isn't it all. But I guess my faith, I failed in the sense of wanting to die. I guess that makes sense. If that makes sense, like I failed in not having faith that things get better, or faith that this is all part of a bigger plan. I guess I lost faith in the sense that I just wanted this to end. But I had faith, though, that this was not the end, if that makes sense. Like, I had faith throughout my life that this life is not like die, go black, and that's it. I have faith that that's not true, and I never lost that faith throughout my life, and I never was scared of death, which I'm very fortunate of. I think some people, and it's no right, wrong. Some people are scared of death, and for me, I always had faith that as long as I'm a good person and I do the right thing or do the best possible I can in the moment, there's a next level to this, something after. I'm not sure what it is. I'm actually kind of, in a weird, sadistic way, kind of excited to see what the next chapter is. But I lost faith in the sense of, wanting to live and knowing that, this is all part of a bigger plan, and that it'll move me in a way and things will get better. That's where I'm saying I lost my faith during some health situations, that, I just wanted to escape this current reality of my current version of this world, because the pain I thought was too much to handle. Or as Tony talks about, there was a lack of references. For example, if you only grew up in Florida, you think 60 degrees is cold, versus if you grew up in Wisconsin, you think 60 degrees is warm. So it's just lack of references. And I now realize, as a younger man, a lot of my depression or suicidal ideation is I just thought this is all life could be. Life is just this, X, Y, and Z, and that's it. There's nothing like, this is what life is. Life is hard, life is suffering. you can only be in this, and this is just the way life is, and that's how it is. Versus when you know, more life experience through time, through faith, whatever that is, I realized that, you know, life can be amazing. You know, it's going to be hard. It's going to test you. It's going to be, you're going to lose people you love. You're going to lose things that you love about yourself, like health-wise, or even other things. Like, nothing in this life is guaranteed, I realize, but I realize, like, there is beauty in the pain, beauty in the suffering. You know, everything has a yin and yang. So, you know, before the light is darkest before the light, you know, for example, like, it's darkest before the light, sorry. And just understanding that there's, everything is happening for me, not to me. And that's big. Tony is religious. He's not like hardcore Christian or Catholic, but the biggest things, I wasn't expecting that much. He talks about the God / universe, whatever that is. He doesn't like say like Jesus is our Lord and Savior, but I know he does come from a Christian background. So it's very interesting. I didn't realize how much he would incorporate God and, you know, the idea that everything is happening for me, not to me, and that everything is happening exactly as it's supposed to be happening. And if you really adopt that mindset, it kind of makes things a little less anxious. Like, you're not as like worried all the time. You kind of just like sit back if like something awful is happening to me in my life, or, you know, I can just sit back and be like, okay, this is happening for a reason. You know, this is, you know, even though I can't see it right now, or I might not see it for a year, 2 years, even 5 years, why that happened. And there might not even be a reason, but like, what can I, you know, this is happening for a reason. What positives can I take out of this? What lessons here? And you might say there's no lessons in, like, you know, all these wars and all that stuff. But it might be like, okay, the lesson might be like, there's so much tragedy in the world, and there's suffering, and there's real evil. So I'm going to be the good in the world, you know? So that's how I would frame it. Is like, how could you say it's happening exactly as it should be happening, and like, you know, people are murdering babies, and be like, okay, there is real evil in the world, you know, that's true. And so from that experience and knowing that, it's like, how can I, you know, help, you know, protect people, or help be a good force in the world, because there's so much evil, if that makes sense. So I think having the big things that I took away, and I kind of learned a little bit, I lost that touch with myself, is understand that, hey, life is happening for me, not to me, and everything is happening exactly as it's supposed to be happening in this moment. And understand that, okay, even though right now it does look grim, all this, like, something good's going to come out of this, or I'm going to learn something important that's going to prepare me for the future of my life. Because honestly, when I was on my deathbed with bacterial blood infection, I wasn't saying like, God, what do you have to show me right now in this moment? Like, why am I here? Like, you know, I wasn't sitting there, you know, for 3 weeks on my hospital bed almost dying, like, oh, like, this is a great moment. You know, I'm going to look back at this one day and realize like how important it was. But now, hindsight, a year and a half almost out of it, I'm like, I'm so grateful for that experience, because it got me out of my fucking head, and she told me that, hey, work and my ego, just worrying about physical body and looks and just making money and building a great business, means nothing when you're sick and cringing for life. All you care about is love, relationships, connection, faith, the people you care about. Also faith in God that like this will get better. Like, you don't give a fuck about money, business, how much money I have in a bank account, or how like good my body looked, or it does look right now. That doesn't matter, at least from my perspective, when I was on my deathbed. And so, yeah, in the moment, was it awful? Did I suck? Did I pray to God that I wanted to die? Yes. Am I proud of that? No. But I am grateful for that experience. You know, I'm not grateful that it put strain on my family. I mean, and I also saw who really showed up. You know, I really showed, and like, I get chills thinking about it. It's like, you know, I'm so blessed to have such loving parents, like my sister. They were there every step of the way. And I was a 27-year-old man, and just like laying there and just like, I'm so fucking lucky that I have parents that care this much, that my sister cared this much. My friend, my co-host AD was the only friend that showed up in the hospital. It meant so much, you know? And those are the things I'll never forget. It's like, okay, life gets hard, which gets hard for all of us, stuff happens, and it's like, who's really there for you? Who showed up? Who showed up? You know, and even, you know, parents can be annoying or a lot or overbearing, wherever that it might be for some people. But for myself, it was like, that moment's like, okay, yeah, I love my parents. And, you know, sometimes they get on your nerves. People all get on your nerves. But at the end of the day, they were there. They showed up. you know, they were there, you know, night and day, caring, supporting, you know, they were there. And I think I'm so blessed for that experience, because as a young man, before that, I was, you know, feeling myself. I had some ego, I was making some business success, I was getting good shape, you know, ego was coming up, and I was like, you know, woohoo. And then, you know, boom, life happened. And prior to getting sick, it was the best 2 weeks of my life. I was not the best 2 weeks, but the highest of highs 2 weeks previous to that I'd ever felt in my life. And then 2 weeks later, it was the lowest of lows. And I guess that showed me perspective, and to appreciate the highs when they come and understand the lows are temporary. And again, another thing, I know Tony Robbins will say, this too shall pass. The good times, they will pass. The bad times will pass. But when you're in the good times, appreciate the good times and be grateful for the good times and cherish them, and, you know, spread the good. And when the bad times are there, understand, like, hey, this is bad, but it's not forever. You know, this is a period, a season of life. It's bad right now, but things will get better, and trust and have faith. And I think this event, the main two takeaways again are that life is happening for me, not to me. Universe, God, whatever. For me, it's God. And then the second thing is everything is happening exactly as it's supposed to be happening in this moment. And I think that will relieve some anxiety for myself, some worry, and just trust. And I think today's world is so move, go, especially in America. Busy, busy, achieve, go. And I noticed this event had a lot of achievers. But achievers at this specific event, like, they weren't probably fulfilled or happy. At least that was my consensus. Again, just a broad assumption. But I mean, that's why I went there. Is, you know, you do all these things that you think will make you happy. You have goals, all this, and you're like, I'm not fulfilled, I'm not happy. And you're like, well, everyone told me I was supposed to be happy. And so I think a lot of people show up at this event, and that's why I was there. And you understand that, you know, it's never about the goal. It's never about the goal. It's about who you become because you're on the journey to the goal. And the journey is a lot better than the goal, because the goal, you might enjoy it for a minute, an hour, a day, a week, a month, maybe even 3 months, maybe 6 months. Most likely not a year. After a year, if you enjoy it, I mean, kudos to you, but it's more about the journey and the person. More importantly, I realize, is like the person who you become on the journey, who I became because of these things. And that's what really matters. And I think that's why it's good to have a great, you know, hero's journey, in a sense of finding big goals to tackle, meaningful goals. But you can't make it the goal being when you're going to experience the joy, the happiness, the love, the connection, because you'll get to the goal and you might not even have any of those things, and you might feel worse. But if you focus on, hey, I value love, connection, joy, happiness, and I still want those goals, then you can be happy in the journey, because that's the best part, you know, when you're on the path. And it was good. I got answers to what I was searching for. Ask and you shall find. And, you know, just being open to what's going to come too, I realized. And it was a beautiful experience. I'm truly grateful, and so grateful for that opportunity to go. I mean, to have the time and also the financial flexibility to be able to go to an event like that. It was a surreal moment to be within, you know, be in the presence of Tony Robbins. I mean, the man's a big dude. He's 6'7", about 260, you know, not fat, just a big guy. And he's a real deal. I mean, there's no faking him. He is a force. And it was to see a master working their craft like that. I mean, it's an experience I'll never forget. And I'm just so blessed that in my lifetime I was able to not only see it, but be a part of it, you know? And I think, you know, we lose sight of, you know, how special moments can be, even just your mom calling you, or father calling you, or sister, or son, daughter, and just realize that one day that might not be the case, you know, and every moment is special and sacred in its own right, and understanding that life is happening for me and not to me. That was big, and trusting that even though the darkest moments, like, every moment's happening exactly as it's supposed to be happening. And I realized that's helped me, because I've been through some rough things in my life, and my past track record said yes. I mean, everything happened exactly as it's supposed to happen. Like, I needed that. Yep. Needed that one. Yep. Really needed that. unfortunately I needed that too, you know, and that's how life is. And you can either look